So this is your evaluation from camp. Okay. And then this is the AI report. Starting with your velocity was 81. And then the model prediction was 76.6. So that means that the database, the AI found a group of guys similar to you. And the average velocity in that group was 76. So you're above that group, like you're performing better than that group velocity wise. And so your proficiency, your ability to use what you have was in an 82 percentile, and that's pretty good percentile. So there's no recommendations on you just try to improving what you have. It's now diving into your athletic improvements and then your biomechanical improvements. So this is going to be in order of priority because this is the velocity gains, trying to get you to 90, from 81 to 90. So it's like 90.1, so it's like almost 10 miles an hour here. And biomechanically as well. So the priority is important. And if you want to know what each one is, you just hit the red icon, and we know that that's right rotational power. So that was this pelvis one. That one's up front. I don't see that one listed much, like on many guys' profiles. Yours was 624 degrees per second, so that was in a 46 percentile. So they want that, it wants that to 732 degrees per second. So quicker, not considerably, it's only up to a 66 percentile, but just getting a little bit quicker, specifically in pelvis rotation. There's a 1.1 miles an hour there. Your body weight, 173 to 204. I think that's pretty smart. I think you have the frame to do that. So I think that would help. So if you're thinking both of those together, you're thinking speed, improving speed, improving body mass. That's two parts of the force equation. To increase force, you increase mass and acceleration. So that's pretty simple when it comes to physics. So you also have vertical jump in there from 28 to 30 is 0.4, but put that into the speed, the 10-yard sprint, another speed improvement. Total body strength needs to go up. That'll also help with weight. And if you look at these influencers, like if you look at weight influencer, total body strength, about 50% of your weight is driven by your strength. And that's total body strength, but grip strength's up to 81%, and your vertical jump rate to 81%. So the point is getting stronger and more powerful influences weight, because your weight helps drive that. Your lean mass drives that. Wide balance, that's pelvic stability. So and you got left-right trunk rotation. So I'd say there's some mobility issues between your hips and trunk, and there's some strength issues in there too. So improving on the mobility and just strength overall is going to be big. So that's pretty much everything. You covered size, you covered speed, power, strength. So pretty much you got to pretty much crush it all, and that should drive you to 90. Biomechanically, there's a good list here. Remember, these are the things biomechanically that are just standing out that would have an impact on velocity, and you actually have some significant ones here. Normally, more of the improvements are in the athleticism, but we're seeing a decent amount of them over here. It's probably equal to the overall amount. But remember, this is just linking to velocity. So if we look, like for example, we can look at spin. Here's spin. Look at all the ones that drive spin. Okay, so it's just looking how they affect velocity. So, if you're not performing a mechanic well, it might not have like a big impact on your velocity, but I'll still point it out because it'll affect spin, it'll affect health. Like we drive a whole other one for health. Okay. So just looking at it right here, a lot of front foot strikes. So what's happening is your pelvis we're on these negatives. Okay, so negative speeds of the pelvis and trunk means at landing not much is happening. So it's good to be delayed, but you actually don't want to be too delayed. You'll see high velocity guys, what's actually happening is, say you think at landing your trunk wants to be close, you think it'd be going slow or negative, right? It'd be going negative. The problem is what guys do is, high velocity guys, it's coming out of leg lift, they close past, squared up. So if I'm in line here, they close past that. And then when they go into landing, they're already driving and they're already coming into rotation, even though they're still closed off. So you'll see a lot of high velocity guys, even at landing, they have a lot of trunk rotation speeds because they're coming into rotation at that point. Okay, you're in a negatives, which means there's no acceleration, there's deceleration right now. So we need to look at why that's happening. Because of that, your arm is way early. Everything's early. So your trunk and pelvis aren't working well to drive your trunk forward and drive your energy through your arm, so your arm is having to do a lot of the work. So if I go to your video, and then we take you through your delivery, I'm going to look for why is your pelvis and trunk decelling into landing. So we see right out of the gate, not much momentum being accelerated as you kind of fall forward and down at the same rate through your trunk. You're really just kind of lifting your leg, and then your leg is kind of going, not much your center of mass. This is, once your leg comes down, you're trying to pick up the speed in your body. You're trying to see how much you can get that going down the mountain. Yes, we talk about, there's hip abduction pushing you forward. And there's working with gravity, falling as you push your hip forward and down the mountain. And we need to be a lot more aggressive with that, because we already see you don't have much energy accelerating, which could be why at landing you don't have a lot of energy in your body. So you can see right here, you're already now ready to open up. You're ready to reach out with your foot, reach out with your glove side, because that means you're going to try to use this to bring your backside around.
Instead of using my legs?
Instead of using your momentum and countering against that momentum like a slingshot to launch it forward, you're stalling out and then using your front side to try to pull everything through. So then you go into landing that way. This just turns over. You see the knee turning down, the foot still staying closed. Like it looks like it's breaking your ankle, right? Like that's crazy, huh? So now your pelvis is dead and your trunk is dead. So now we know why there is no energy in your pelvis rotation and trunk rotation, because your back foot is stuck on the rubber. My back foot is connected to my back hip, which technically is going to drive my back shoulders. So if I'm landing and my back foot's still in the rubber, what's going to propel my back hip around if my back foot's stuck in the rubber? Nothing, right? That's why you're wanting to reach. You're wanting to reach and spin to try to pull everything around. So we've got to get this to propel and drive. That's triple extension, right? We've got to, at landing, this foot is extended. Everything's extended and driven. The ankle's kicked off, the knee's extended, the hip flexor's extending because it's driving it around in rotation. There's none of that is going on. That's why you're going into landing with no energy. Elite guys go into landing with tons of energy. It's ready to launch and explode up the kinetic chain. So you now have to go and create your energy. And that's tough at landing because you only have about 0.1, 0.2 seconds to do that. So you can see here, what are the things you're going to start doing to do that? You're probably going to, there you go, you're going to drop your glove side. You kind of leaned with your head, right? All that to try to get your arm around, and then let's see what you do to finish. Yeah, and then there's the early arm. So your trunk stops about right here, and then your arm pushes forward. So your trunk stops this vertical, and then your arm pushes forward. You don't see the trunk carrying it forward, right? And that was the early arm, right? So, so the key is building and peaking your energy into landing, to where at landing our pelvises are now almost fully open, and our trunk's just behind it, ready to accelerate forward. So you really got to work on that. So that's all the driving. You know, if that was the king of the hill, you wouldn't have heard the king of the hill. The king of the hill to tell you're popping. When you're on the stride accelerator, it's moving that stride accelerator and propelling yourself off of it. You know, if you were on that stride accelerator like that, you'd just be going like this. Like we're actually propelling through it and off of it. All those things will help. Plus, like when we go back to your evals here, things that will help is your vert's going up, rotational speed. It's seeing how that's probably affecting your pelvis rotation on the mound, because you're not good at rotating your pelvis Just like you're not good on the mound to rotate your pelvis. That's not just your pelvis, that's your legs. You know, when we look at that influencer, when we select on the red icon, it'll select. That's, okay, so the left side, that's right shoulder external, internal rotation. That's only 15%. There's not big influencers on that, besides just itself. But once again, it's like, you're not rotating your pelvis wearing your mechanics, you're not doing it well in the drill. So working on just the speed of rotation, also the speed of drive, which is your 10-yard, which is your vert, which is even your total body strength. All those things will help move your legs better on the mound. What questions do you have?
So I was at college this past year, and going in, I was weighing the same amount that I'm weighing now, and I ended up gaining, I think, 10 pounds. I went up to 185, like 186 sometimes, and I was throwing the same speed. I was weighing 175. I weighed 173, 175 here, and I went in throwing like 81, 82 miles an hour. Came in throwing 81 miles an hour. So I really think that this program is going to work for me. I really do. I have like hopes for it. Like, you know, the mobility feels good, the weights feel good. You know, the little ball drills feel good. So my thing is when I was there, I kind of did my own drills. I didn't really do too much mobility. I didn't work on sprint. So a lot of things that I'm doing here, I didn't work on there. So that's why I'm hopeful for this, because there's a lot of things that I didn't work on myself back there. But I was able, by the end of the year, around coming back from Christmas, I was able to get myself up to 87 miles an hour. And that was on like a little turf mound, not even in cleats, you know, not in a game situation, just basically against my players, throwing 87 miles an hour. So I like to say that I was probably hitting 88, 89. I don't want to say 90 because I want to see 90. I want to be able to physically see that I hit 90 miles an hour before I say hit 90. So I would want to say that I was probably hitting, you know, 88, 89 sometimes. So, and I wasn't weighing 204 pounds. You know, I didn't do a lot of the agility stuff. I didn't have a good vertical. I didn't have a lot of this stuff, you know. I mean, I didn't do none of the Olympic stuff. So what I want to, my big question is how is this going to affect me is like I was hitting 87, you know, 88, 89 with doing my own thing. Now following your drill with, you know, when I was only weighing 185, like how is it going to affect me here? Do you think it'll be like easier?
So you never saw 80, 89, so I wouldn't go off of that. So let's go off of 87. Yes. You said you saw 87. You said you were, how much, 180 what?
185 pounds was the most I weighed there.
Okay, so that could have helped? You think the weight could have helped?
Yeah, I think it helped a lot. I feel like whenever I weighed 175, like my body wasn't able to handle it. I got sore a lot. And as soon as I weighed 185, you know, I did a lot of band routine.
So once again, if go off of that, if 185 helped, what does 195 do? It could still help. I mean, the only time weight starts hurting you is if you start gaining weight and you start losing speeds.
Yeah.
So that's why you got to look at this collectively. You have to gain weight, but you're also gaining vert. And that's the challenge is you're gaining weight and you're moving faster. You're doing two things.
Yeah.
Right? So you add weight, you drive up your speeds. There's no reason it shouldn't. If it isn't, it's because you could still be not using your legs here. Mm-hmm. What explosiveness you built here isn't translating to your mechanics because you're still not driving. Mm-hmm. So you could see more weight, more power, no velocity, or less because your mechanics aren't using it. Mm-hmm. So remember, whatever we build athletically, we've got to use it on the mound. Mm-hmm. That's why we have a proficiency score here. Because if your proficiency score was, you know, say you were 81 and the group was 87. That's that group you were in. So you're way under the group average. You're underperforming, which is the opposite here. You're actually overperforming. So what it's saying is there's a lot of people in the database like you that aren't throwing as hard as you. So you're actually doing better than them. So your proficiency, your ability to use what you have is pretty good. That means you have to go to a whole other group. Meaning you got to start developing things that put you out of this group, like more size.
Yeah, because if I was put into another group, I'd probably be the lower level of that other group, correct?
Right. So the point is what I believe is from where you were, something's changed. We know your body weight went down, but I guarantee you some other things went down because you're performing better than most people like you in our data. Okay. So the point is it's not enough just to come in here and say, I got to get better at, where I am, routines, intent, mindset, recovery, health. That would be a more proficiency score. This is saying there's a lot of raw ability you need to add. Because at the end of the day, you're not just trying to sit 87, 88. Or not, it's not even sitting. You're not trying to touch 87, 88. Because you're probably sitting 84, 85. You're trying to sit 90, I'm sure. Sit 90. That means you have to get into a group that says model prediction is 88, 90. And you're performing at the model or above. So to get to that group, you have to. There's no way around it. You can sit here and speculate on, I felt faster, the scale showed 5 more pounds, and I wasn't doing all this, and I touched 87, is like I was almost there. You really weren't. You were about 5 to 6 miles an hour on average away from where you were, and it's because you don't have the raw ability that would put you there. Yeah, you had good days where you got up to 87, even though you feel like it was more, but you don't really know. But you still weren't where you wanted to be. You weren't averaging at that level. Mm-hmm. And it's more than that. It's not just we're going to do power cleans now and I didn't do power cleans before. We're going to do mobility now and I do mobility before. It's way more than that. Because what this is saying, the AI is saying, is it's not saying go eat 3,000 calories and gain 1 mile per hour. It's saying you got to do what it takes, which is maybe eating 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day to get to 204. But if we never get to 204, you don't get your 1 mile an hour. So it's not saying go do power cleans, 3 sets of 8 every day at 135 pounds and you get 0.4 miles an hour, or you get 0.3 because it improves these things. It's you got to get from a 28 vert to a 30. So you actually have to succeed in this program. That's where baseball players don't understand training. It's because coaches don't hold your training to metrics and levels. Like, you ever had a coach do that? Guys, you're training, I want your lifts at this level. I want your verts at this level. You ever done that? Mm-hmm. You ever had a coach do that? Right, so you've never had a coach hold your training to a level of success. They've just said, go train. So training to you is like no different than a 40-year-old woman at Planet Fitness wanting to look better. It really isn't. But that's not gonna get you to 90 plus. You have to train for success, and that's what this is. This is saying is, great, go do the top V level 1, but if you don't get to a 30, it didn't work. So it's more than just doing our power cleans. It's actually having success with it. And the success is when you reevaluate and you see you hit these marks or better. So you got to understand, like, going in with the mentality of, oh, I'm just doing new stuff, top V, it should work. No, it won't work if you don't have success with it. Therefore, some guys have to go through 2 cycles of level 1 to gain success. Some guys have to get all the way to level 4 to gain success. So if you don't have the mindset of, I have to have success in this training program, not just do it, you could be the guy who does level 1 who's like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted, this must not work. And then you never get to level 4 where all of your success would have come. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So I'm glad you had that experience, but you still don't know what it is to sit low 90s. And right now, AI is telling you there's not a good chance, based on the data here, 1,500 plus guys here, that you're going to be sitting 90 in a group of people that average 76 miles an hour. Now, if this said 90 miles an hour and you're way under it, we could talk like that. Maybe you've you don't understand your mechanics well. Maybe your lifts have gotten too strength focused. Maybe you need to technically make sure you're it's driving speed and power as much as that. But the point is that you are definitely not where you need to be to throw 90. It's not there. You have to build it. And the only way you're going to build it, if you use this approach, because if you don't use approach, this is still relevant. If you go off and use someone else's program, this is all still relevant. Because it's just AI looking at data saying, why aren't you at 90? Doesn't matter what program you're doing, right? If you don't do something like this, which I would obviously want to follow this roadmap because you don't probably have an alternative, is if you don't get to these goals and percentiles, you're not going to be there. So be honest, you should forget about that experience you have. and just focus on this and trying to accomplish what this is telling you to do through your training. And knowing it's not enough just to do it, you have to actually go reevaluate and see it actually succeeding. If not, you will never get what you want. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
That's it. That was like literally my only question that I was gonna ask you. Is like the one that I just asked.
Yeah. Well, that's what I need you to learn and understand, that it's more than just participation. Everybody participates. Few succeed. So it's not about participation. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you showed up. You probably beat a lot of people just doing that. But if you really want to get where you're going, it's not about participation.
It's about succeeding.
It's about succeeding in the process.
Yes, sir.
Because I had dudes who've shown up for 2 years and they hadn't succeeded. And then I had dudes that show up for 2 weeks and succeed. It is everything about you taking advantage of this to gain success.
Sounds good.
Cool.